Hi. I hope that you are having a great day today. I wanted to talk to you today about your elevation. Are you ready for your elevation? And as I began to talk about or think about this topic more and more detail, because it had come up in a conversation, but as I was thinking about what would I like to say about elevation, about advancement. Are you ready for your promotion? Are you ready to take your life or your career, your business to the next level? Are you ready for your advancement? Now, what story could I tell to help illustrate my point? What other story can I tell you all besides the story of Queen Esther? Now, this will not be a religious talk. I think this is the disclaimer I give whenever I talk and reference the Bible, because I don't want y'all coming for me now. But nonetheless, I will keep saying this, I think the Bible is filled with great stories, with a lot of messages and just things that go beyond the surface. So it's not a religious talk. Nonetheless, I know that it's something that you will be able to take, to use to your benefit. Whether you are watching live or on the replay, thank you. Let me know who you are and where you are watching from so that I just don't see the number hovering on the screen. All right, so are you ready for your elevation? I want to talk to you all about Queen Esther. But before she was queen, she was just Esther. The story starts off with the king. Another name that I hope I can pronounce. But King Ahasuerus. So the story starts off with him summoning essentially his wife, Queen Vashti, and he's like, bring her to me, only wearing the royal crown. And he wants to show off her beauty in front of everybody who's there. And so the queen is like, nah, I'm not doing that today. She had some skin things going on. She had some stuff going on. She was like, nah. And he's like, what? You're telling me no? And so then he consults with everybody, and his royal court, his ministers and all of that. And he says, what is the law for a woman who disobeys me, or for the queen who disobeys the king? And so the people around him, they say, well, we can't tolerate this, because if the queen can disrespect the king, or if the queen doesn't obey the king, then what the hell are our wives going to do? You know what I mean? What? So they're like, absolutely not. That means every woman in the kingdom can disobey her husband, and we can't have that. So we need to get rid of her. She's problematic. Let's get rid of her. Okay. So the queen, he gets rid of her. He gets rid of her. He banishes her. And he's in need of a new queen. So he has a beauty pageant. He's like, bring all of these women who are beautiful, bring them to me, and I will choose my next queen. Which is so shady and shallow. He's like, I'm gonna line y'all up, and whoever I like the best, whoever looks the best, I'm gonna just snatch you up. It's almost, do you think that's where The Bachelor came from? That show? Do you think that's where they got that idea from this king? So anyway, he has this beauty pageant, and all of these women are there. Hundreds of women come so that they might be selected to be the next queen. But who does the king choose? The king chose Esther. Now, Esther, what's important and unique about Esther is that, one, she was a Jew. This was during a time where Jews were in exile, right? So she was a Jew, and she did not come from a high social class. She was a regular old gal. She was being raised by her cousin because she did not have parents. And so she didn't come from this high social class. She wasn't part of the elite party. She wasn't a socialite. She was little old Esther, okay? But who did the king choose? The king chose Esther out of everybody. They describe her in the Bible as beautiful. but she also was friendly. There was something friendly about her. She wasn't trying to put on a show. She wasn't trying to overdo or outdo the next person. She was Esther, and he chose her to be the next queen. Now, after the way he, treated that last queen, I don't really know if that's a good thing, but nonetheless, stick with me. I promise you, I'm going somewhere. So, her cousin, the one who raised her, Mordecai, he tells her, look, do not tell them that you are a Jew. We don't know what can happen. We don't know how he's going to respond. Don't tell the king that you are a Jew. So she doesn't bring it up. And she is, she's friendly toward the king's people, and they loved her. And the king actually liked her, dare I say, loved her as well, which is important. I promise you, I'm getting somewhere. So, now Mordecai is essential to the story, and I think I'm going to do a live just on what we can learn from his story as well. But for today, we're focusing on Miss Esther. So Mordecai is he's at the king's gate. Okay, now the king's right hand man, Haman, he doesn't like Mordecai. He doesn't like Mordecai because he knows that Mordecai is a Jew, and Mordecai refuses to bow down to him. And Mordecai is like, I'm not going to bow down to you. You are not my God. I'm not bowing to you. Haman, I'm not bowing to you. So Haman is like, oh, word? That's what you're going to do? Well, watch what I do. Haman goes to the king and gets this law passed to kill all of the Jews. So Haman is saying, not only Mordecai, will I kill you, but I'm coming after everybody. I'm coming after all y'all. So now there's a law saying that, yes, you can go out and kill all of the Jews. Mordecai finds this information out, and he goes, he's at the king's gate, and he gets word to Esther, who is queen at this point. Esther's already queen. But he is not allowed to, especially the way he was dressed, when he came back to the king's gate, he wasn't able to enter into the king's palace, and Esther, because she's queen, wasn't able to exit. So he gets word to Esther, and he says, yo, Haman is trying to take us out. He's like, Haman, put a law and was able to get the king to sign a law into place that says they can kill all of the Jews. We have to do something, Esther. You have to go talk to the king. Esther is like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not doing that. You know, Mordecai, what happens if you go to the king and the king did not summon you. If you just try and walk up to the king can kill you, man. You want me to go to the king? No. I cannot do that. I cannot do that, Mordecai. And Mordecai gets another message to her, and he says, no, you have to do this. Do you think you are safe in the palace? Remember, you are a Jew. Do you think you are safe in the palace? The king will have all of us killed. Haman will have all of us killed, including your family, your community, your people, and possibly you if they find out that you are a Jew. So you are not safe. And now, so the messenger goes back to Esther, relays the message, and Esther is like, okay, well, but prior to that, Mordecai says, perhaps you were in the palace for such a time as this. And now Esther is thinking, well, damn, now I have to do something. Maybe this is my purpose, right? Maybe this is why I'm here. Maybe this is why this is my purpose. And so before I continue with the story of Esther, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what happened so far. So remember, Esther didn't come from a high social class. Esther came from a regular family, and maybe not even a regular family, because she was being raised by her cousin. She wasn't being raised by her mother and her father, right? She was being raised by another relative. So plucked from obscurity, and now Esther is queen. And Mordecai says to her, perhaps you were in the palace for such a time as this. I want to talk to you for a minute. Maybe you are in your current situation for such a time as this. In order for you to manifest your desire, in order for you to elevate, because we're talking about elevation, right? In order for you to get that next promotion, in order for you to really go forth and get what is next and what is lined up for you, what is your birthright, in order for that to happen, you have to now do something. You have to make a choice. Will you stay where you are, or will you go forth? Now, if Esther had not done anything, if Esther had ignored what Mordecai was saying, she was not only putting herself at risk, but she was putting her family at risk. She was putting her community at risk. She was putting her entire people at risk. Anybody who was a part of the kingdom, they were at risk of being killed. So if Esther had not gotten the courage to go before the king, it didn't only impact her, it impacted those around her. So if you don't have the courage to go forth in your destiny, if you don't have the courage to go forth and walk in your purpose, it doesn't only impact you, it also impacts the lives of the people who you are destined to touch in some way, the communities you are destined to impact. So it goes beyond you. We have to get out of that mindset that it's just about us. It's not just about you. And as you elevate and walk right and now start getting into your elevation, or elevating, excuse me, you realize that your mindset has to change. You realize that you do have to be courageous, because what Esther was about to do was courageous. Remember, you don't go before the king unless the king calls you. So what Esther does, and I love this part, what Esther does, and I'm looking down just to check in to see if there are any comments. Let me know if you do have any comments. Let me know what your thoughts are about the story of Esther and your own Esther experience, your own Esther elevation. So at this point, Esther sends a message to Mordecai. And she says to him, she says to Mordecai, I want you to tell the people to fast for 3 days and 3 nights. I will go before the king, and if I die, I die. So now she's in alignment with her purpose. Now she understands the significance of her actions. She understands the significance of also using her role, her title, because remember, she's queen. So she has to step into that, and she has to embody being queen and what can come along with that. So I want you to embody, what does it mean to be the queen of your life? What does it mean to tap into that goddess energy, okay? But I'm jumping ahead. See, I get excited about this stuff because I'm telling you, you don't have to be religious to understand the message here. You can use this in your own life for your own situation. Remember, for such a time as this, you are right here, right now, in this moment for a reason. You are experiencing what you're going through for a reason. Some of the things that's going on is because it's preparing you for your elevation. It's preparing you for your next level. When we talk about divine timing, sometimes you don't get the manifestation. You don't get what you want. You don't get what you're trying to manifest exactly when you're manifesting it, because you are not ready. You are not ready. If Mordecai wouldn't have said what he said to Esther, perhaps that she wouldn't have had that mindset shift. She needed that encouragement. She needed somebody to put it into perspective, like, yo, this goes beyond you. And then she had to step now into that mindset of what does it mean to be queen? What does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to want to help my people, my community? You can't do that being scared. You can't do that with your head down. You can't do that with a little whisper. You can't do that being so concerned with what would happen and being so concerned with how people are going to see you. If you worry about those things, and I know you do because you're human, as you continue to, if you keep worrying about those things, it will stop you from elevating. It'll stop you from moving forward, from your own progression. So, okay, back to the story. So Esther tells Mordecai, tell the people to fast for 3 days and 3 nights. If I die, I die. but I am willing to take that risk because this cause means so much to me. I'm paraphrasing here. I hope y'all realize that by now. I paraphrase a lot. But, this is important to her. So how important is your purpose? What are you willing to do in order to get your purpose, or in order to live a purposeful life? What are you willing to do in order to elevate? What are you willing to do in order to level up? What are you willing to do? What actions are you willing to take? What risk are you willing to take? Because Esther was about to take a risk. But what I love about fasting was she told him to tell the people to go fast. We know that fasting is a spiritual act, right? Fasting is a sacrifice. Fasting allows you to now cleanse, get rid of some things in your body, because your body is your temple. There are so many things. That's why I do like the Bible. There are a lot of messages, and it's not straightforward religious, but when you start to embrace spirituality, you see how dope some of these stories are and a deeper meaning behind them. But anyway, when you fast on a spiritual level, you are allowing yourself to be in a space to connect and hear a little bit easier to your higher power, your higher self, God, source, the universe, whatever name you want to choose. I use them all interchangeably because for me, they are the same thing. So I will use God and I will use the universe. Every once in a while, I'll also use source. So when you fast, you're connecting now, right, to your higher power. But what she also, for me, and this is just my take on it. So all of you people who study the Bible, they have a different take, but my take on it. Not only was she telling the people to fast for a religious reason or spiritual reason so that she can, connect now more deeply with God. She can hear from God. She can hear from the universe, but also planning. So if she's getting a message from the universe or a message from God, then that means she's in a space to be able to listen, to be able to hear, and to be able to act accordingly. So how I think of it as, I think of it as Esther and her people, right, are fasting. And she is being told by the universe, okay, this is what you do. And she said, oh, okay. And she did it. So she went before the king and everybody around, because now all the people who are guarding the king, they like, hold up, chick. I don't care, queen or not. You don't do this. So everybody's like, yo, what's going to happen? But to everybody's surprise, the king is delighted to see Queen Esther. He actually likes her. Now, this is also a quick message. Sometimes, and there's some of you who are watching, so you're watching, and you might be with somebody, and sometimes you're like, you know what? I feel like he don't even like me. He doesn't treat me the way I want him to treat me. He doesn't love me the way I need him to love me, and maybe he don't really like you. So just look. That's a different live. And look, that's okay, because when you continue to go forth and elevate, then you will attract the person who you want to be with and who treats you the way you want to be treated. But okay, so the king, he likes Esther. So he says, Esther, essentially he says, what can I do for you? So Esther says, if it'll make the king happy, I would like for you and Haman to join me in a feast. I prepared a feast for you all. Join me in a feast the next day. So they do that. Now, let's back up, because I didn't really go into detail about the hatred that Haman had for Mordecai and how that came to be, which is why I said I think I'll do another live talking about the lessons we can learn from Mordecai as we work on our mindset shifts and as we work on connecting on a deeper level with the universe. But there was some stuff going on. I mean, obviously, if Haman gets a law passed or signed by the king to go after all the Jews, clearly this man had hatred toward Mordecai. But at this point, they're not really aware that Esther, or the king at least, is not aware that Esther is a Jew. So she goes before the king. The king does not kill her, luckily. And the king agrees to have this feast, to enjoy this feast with Esther and Haman the next day. So they do that. Now, although Esther is going forth and she's taking action, she did not tell the king in that moment what she wanted. So even at the feast, at the first feast, she didn't tell the king what she wanted. So he asked her, he says, Esther, what can I do for you? And she says, so for the second feast, she invites the king and Haman, I believe, again, right? And so they're eating. And at this point, the king is like, what can I do for you? And Esther says, if you would like, please don't kill my people. Okay, I got word that you are trying to kill my people. Please don't do that. She essentially now tells the king that Haman wants to kill Mordecai, but not just kill Mordecai, to kill all of the Jews. And at this point, Esther professes, I am a Jew. If you kill them, you kill me. If you hurt them, I will hurt, right? And so the king, because again, he liked Esther, and he's like, absolutely not. Now, Haman already prepared gallows he had in front of the house because he was ready to take Mordecai out. But what the king did, the king ended up killing Haman because the king is like, why would you do this to Queen Esther? So Haman, to make a long story short, Haman ends up being killed, and Esther talks to the king, and they prevent the Jews from being killed, essentially. So the king signs another law that says, you know what, you as a Jew, as a Jewish person, you have the ability to protect yourself. You can kill anybody who comes after you. And so the Jews did, right? And they were able to defeat what Haman had set out to do. Now, I want you to take a step back for a minute. And if you were following me, then I'm sure there was something that resonated with you. If you are a person who wants to live a purposeful life. Now, again, Esther ended up helping to prevent the mass killing, the annihilation of her people, because she, one, as the people in the church would say, she was obedient. She did what she was supposed to do. She acted. She went forth. She also she did not just think about herself, because she could have easily said, well, I don't want the king to know I'm a Jew. She could have easily said, well, I'm in the palace now. This is not my problem. This is your problem, Mordecai. You figure it out. You help them. She could have said, I am too afraid to go before the king because he did not call me, and I don't want to die. I am too afraid to do that. She could have done that, but she didn't. She shifted her mindset. She embodied what it meant to be a queen. She tapped into that inner goddess, and she said, wait, hold up. I got something to do because I got people to save. She, in that moment, became aligned with her purpose. So again, I ask you, what do you need to do in order for you to be aligned with your purpose? What actions do you need to take? What risk do you need to take in order to live a purposeful life? If you have a mission, how are you going to carry out that mission if you don't have courage? Because see, Esther and her Esther experience and her elevation to be queen, she was courageous. In order for you to go after those things that scare you, in order for you to not only better your own life, but also impact the people around you, in order for you to break generational curses, in order for you to beat the odds, in order for you to check off all the boxes, in order for you to live a life of meaning and purpose, in order for you to get in alignment, in order for you to manifest and manifest easily and manifest abundance, manifest good health, manifest positive emotions, in order for you to do these things, you have to get in alignment. You have to know your why. Why are you doing these things? Why do you want to break generational curses? You have to have the confidence and the courage to be able to do that, because it's the confidence and the courage that's going to allow you to speak up. It's the confidence and the courage that's going to allow you to go before and to go forth and go before some people and situations that scare you. where otherwise you would have retreated. But now, because you've gotten that Esther elevation, you've taken on that Esther mindset. Now you're like, you don't want to retreat because you know your purpose is too important. So when you tap into your purpose, and when you are aligned, you make massive shifts, massive change happens. Esther was walking in her purpose. Mordecai said, perhaps you are in the palace for such a time as this, meaning that is what she was supposed to do at that time. Right place, right time, right? Divine timing. She was there because she needed to be there. Remember, she came into the palace and she was secretive about being a Jew. Because maybe if she would have told him early on, she wouldn't have been queen. Maybe she wouldn't have been selected to be queen, or maybe even worse, she would have been killed. But that's not what happened. She was at the right place at the right time, and she went forth. She wasn't afraid to take action. She wasn't afraid to take risks. Some of you are still at dead-end jobs. You are at a dead-end job right now. And I know y'all like, well, I'm just grateful to have a job. It's the pandemic. But even before the pandemic, even before this crisis, you have been at this job for years now. You know that this position no longer aligns with you. You know that you don't feel fulfilled. You know that you want something greater, but you refuse to go forth and you allow fear to take over. Now the next person may be in this relationship or in a relationship that you know you've outgrown. You don't want to be with this person anymore. And it doesn't mean you hate this person, but this is no longer for you. You don't want it. But instead of you making a decisive choice, instead of you making a decision to end it, you're still in this relationship. So how can you elevate when you're afraid to make a decision? You're afraid to take a risk because you view it as a risk. You view leaving this dead-end relationship as a risk. You view leaving this dead-end job as a risk. You view leaving some toxic people behind as a risk. Or what if I can't make other friends? What if nobody likes me? What if nobody does this? You refuse to work on your passion projects. You refuse to write that book because it's a risk. What if nobody reads it? You refuse to start your business because it's a risk. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. You refuse to tap into that goddess energy and truly become a co-creator because you're afraid of your own power. Isn't that something? But remember, you can't elevate until you take those risks, until you are courageous. And when you get scared, I want you to think back to this video, and I want you to think of the story of Queen Esther. Esther, ordinary Esther. Yes, she was beautiful, but Esther did not come from a high social class. Esther was just Esther. And then the king chose her because she also showed up as herself, which is a whole message in itself. She didn't have to put on gobs of makeup. When they adorned her in the palace, it wasn't what she wasn't being fussy and demanding, do this, I want to wear this. They were like, giving her these different beauty treatments, and she was going along with it. But she wasn't saying, I need this in order for the king to love me. I need this in order for this to happen. No, she showed up as herself. And because she was herself and she was friendly and she was likable and she was beautiful, the king loved her. And because she was herself and because she understood her purpose and because she got into alignment, she also made a massive, massive change. What massive change do you need to happen in your life? In order for that to take place, you have to take a risk. You have to get courageous. If you want to elevate, get courageous. I can go on and on and on and on because I love this topic. I absolutely love it because sometimes we get so caught up, right? We get so caught up in our own thoughts. And look, I'm a I have perfectionistic thinking. I'm a perfectionist in recovery. I will admit that, but you have to be aware of it so that you can change it. And we get caught up in our own thoughts that you will talk yourself out of living and walking in your purpose. If Esther did that, there would have been mass killings of Jews. Show up for yourself. Take a risk for yourself, for your life, for the change you want for you, and then for the change, the trickle down effect, for the change that's going to happen to everybody who comes into contact with you. All right, so I will keep going, but I'm not. Hi, everybody. Hi, Linda. I want you to have your Esther elevation. If you are ready for that elevation, if you resonated with something I said in this video and you are saying to yourself like, yo, I am ready to have that elevation like Queen Esther. I know maybe I don't come from much. I used to have a mentor who used to tell us, you don't come from nothing. Maybe you don't, right? That's okay. That is okay. We all have our stories. And so maybe you weren't born with a silver spoon, or maybe you don't have a trust fund. Neither do I. But that doesn't determine who you are and what you can become, right? So your journey may not be easy. That's okay. That's fine. But if you are ready to have that Queen Esther elevation, if you are ready to shift your mindset and get into alignment so that you can manifest the life that you want, you can manifest the abundance that you want. And abundance does not just mean money. I said that in another video. It does not only mean money. Absolutely, you can manifest an abundance of money, but you can also manifest an abundance of true love, an abundance of healthy friendships, an abundance of positive relationships, an abundance of success, an abundance of positive emotions, of health, etc., on and on and on. If you are ready to do that and you are ready to step into your next level, then I invite you to hop on a clarity call with me. It's a complimentary call where we can talk about where you are, what goals you have, and the gap of where you want to go. So again, I invite you to come on over. I will put the link in this post, or I'll put the link in the comments. And if you are ready to move on and level up, go to your next level, your elevation. All right, I'm gonna stop y'all. But if you are ready to have your elevation, then I definitely encourage you to get like Esther, take a risk, get some courage, and come on over and just go to my little link and book a call. That's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a courageous day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye.